So those who do not know, I'd like to just give a few words of introductions to His Holiness. So Maharaj has also visited here a couple of times to Bay Area. And after 2 years, he's coming again for the Cow Culture Conference, which is scheduled tomorrow. Maharaj has been born in a French-Canadian Roman Catholic parents in the province of Ontario. And he spent 7 years of his undergraduate studies in seminary before completing his Bachelor of Arts degree in the University of Ottawa in 1968, majoring in philosophy and social psychology. After serving as a social worker and counselor from 68 to 71, he joined the Hare Krishna movement in 1974 and was initiated the same year as Raghav Pandit Das by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So from 74 to 76, he served at the ISKCON Ottawa Temple. From 76 to 92, Maharaj lived in India, pioneering the new Bhakta program and the Namahada village preaching program from Sridham Mayapur and the Bhaktivedanta Youth Services from ISKCON Calcutta. He accepted the order of sannyas on Gaur Purnima of 1985. From 93 to 2000, he served as co-GBC for ISKCON Canada and as the temple president for ISKCON Montreal, which is the third temple of ISKCON. From year 2001 to 2004, Maharaj was based in Indonesia, where he helped to develop and oversee 6 rural community projects in addition to youth hostels. In the year 2004, Maharaj completed his master's degree in education cum laude from the State University of Yogyakarta, writing his thesis entitled A Comparative Studies of Gurukul and Pondak Pesantren. Thank you. A case study of 3 Gurukuls in India and 3 Pondak Pesantren, Indonesia. Right. So in the year 2006, Maharaj became involved with preaching activities and community development in Cambodia, where he established an NGO called the Global Varnashram Educational Social Cultural Organization, and is spearheading a rural community called Yashodapur Ashram. That same year, Maharaj was able to return to India after a long absence of 13 years and spearheaded a rural project in South India called Sahedri Sri Krishna Balram Chitra, from where courses on Varnashram College were established and introduced. He was instrumental in establishing the National Varnashram Development Committee for India in the year 2007, and in November 2009 was appointed as National Minister for the Daiva Varnashram Ministry, which is promoting the rural development in India. So Maharaj has a lot more, and please read his biography by going to Google also. So please give another big round of applause in our ISB style. Haribo! Haribo! So the class will go until 8:45 p.m. and the DD will close at 8:30. Thank you very much. So please stay.
Do we have anyone who plays mridanga nicely? Okay, the kirtan group is right here. That's fine, good. Everything has to be nicely orchestrated. We are all fortunate today to hear nice Bengali kirtan. Right? Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopidana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Radha Madhava Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanamchari Yamuna Tira Vanamchari Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanande. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Saja Stotra Satya Sri Simar, His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanaravind Bhakti Raghava Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki ISKCON BBT Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dhama ki Sri Dwarka Dhama ki Sri Jagannath Puri Dhama ki Sri Navadip Mayapur Dhama ki Sri Mayapur Chandraday Mandir ki Gangamayi Jamunamayi ki Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Transcendental Book Distribution ki Jai Shri Shri Gunitai ki Jai Shri Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki Jai Shri Krishna Balarama ki Jai Shri Giri Govardhana ki Jai Shri Sri Radha Madana Mohan ki Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to be assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'd like to request everyone to kindly fold your hands, hold them close to your heart, and kindly repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Sri Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Sri Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Sri Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna to everyone. Thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to again visit here in San Jose. Especially this evening, walking in the temple was like walking in the spiritual world, or entering the spiritual world. This is the miracle that Srila Prabhupada has performed by giving us all an opportunity to re-enter the spiritual world by having established all these wonderful temples all over the world. Tomorrow will be, as I believe all of you are knowing, a very important day for many reasons, and I'd like to just talk a little bit about that to kind of set the mood, possibly. We know that Srila Prabhupada was very very anxious to introduce and establish Lord Chaitanya's movement and mission. And although Lord Chaitanya is a different incarnation, we know from our acharyas that he is simultaneously the same personality, Krishna. And actually the mission of the Lord, in whatever incarnation he comes, is to re-establish the principles of dharma. Of course, this particular incarnation of Lord Chaitanya is very unique in that Lord Chaitanya, compared to all other incarnations, has given access in a very easy and simple manner to the people of Kali Yuga, has given access to the most fallen in Kali Yuga to the highest realm of, we could say, tattva, or the highest realm of the absolute truth, by the simple process that we are following of chanting the holy name. And most of us don't realize how potent and how powerful it is. We were just discussing this morning, Balabhadra Prabhu and myself, how with the present social condition all over the world, I mean, Srila Prabhupada, some 50 years ago, we can read in his purports today, was describing the fallen condition of society. And in some of the research I'm involved in right now, one well-known Russian American by the name of Sorokin, some of you might have heard of him, who was living here in America, had come from Russia and became well-established sociologist here in America. And he wrote many books. This was like in the 1940s. And the title of his books were describing how degraded the social condition was at that time. And he had very descriptive titles, really describing a very high level, I suppose, maybe a big comparison to from where he was coming. So the age of Kali is taking its toll. However, it is only by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, of Lord Chaitanya's movement, only by the mercy of the chanting of the holy name, that this planet has not yet been destroyed. So much of adharmic activities have been ongoing, and as Prabhupada would explain, underlining or trying to explain the importance of this movement, Krishna consciousness movement, describing how this is the only movement that can actually save the world. So our acharyas, beginning with the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, when he came 5,000 years ago, his mission, as always, is to especially establish dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya saduskritam dharma samstapanarthaya, to establish the principles of dharma. And it's very interesting how, dharma is meant to be our main topic of discussion, our main topic of meditation, because it's a deep, very deep subject matter. It is deep and also it is confidential, as Krishna, as we know, explains in the Bhagavad Gita. It is the highest knowledge, Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, and the most confidential. So our main activities as devotees is to endeavor to deepen our understanding of what is dharma, because without dharma, as Prabhupada explains, as our acharyas explained, one is not even considered a human being or civilized, isn't it? That is what distinguishes a lower consciousness from higher consciousness. Actual higher consciousness is connected with dharma, or in Western terminology, religiosity. we're so fortunate in that Srila Prabhupada was able to convey to Westerners like myself and others from the West in those early days when he came, was able to so nicely explain the concepts which up to now, even 2018, are not so clearly understood even in India by many people. The concepts of dharma. Even such a great personality as Bhishmadev, we all know, he's one of our 12 Mahajans. He's authority actually on dharma. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. He himself admits that certain situations arise at times when it is not so obvious or so clear. Tomorrow's conference, although it is entitled Cow Culture Conference, I hope to, actually quite a few devotees are expected to make presentations. And I hope to touch on this point a little bit, so I guess I'm just warming up for that also. It is so important today because dharma is either misunderstood or rejected. In many countries, many leaders are, with the whole modern ideology of secular society, separation of church and the state, and using a lot of seemingly very attractive phrases or words, are unfortunately missing, as Prabhupada would say, missing the point. Missing the point, misleading actually the various people in their respective countries, etc. We all know how in the Srimad Bhagavatam especially, so many great personalities speak on the subject matter of dharma. And we know, as devotees, how, for those who are parents especially, as nicely explained by Lord Rishabhadev, one should not take up the responsibility of being a parent, of being a guardian, of being a leader, of being a guru or political leader. Is it there? Okay. Maybe it's hiding. Oh, it is. It's right there, yeah. Actually, I put a cloth on it and I hid it. Yes, okay. That's okay. So, it's also very important, not only for people who are not following dharma, let's say, in general society, but especially important for our devotees, our practicing devotees, to understand these. It's a theme I speak about a lot because it's connected with my particular area. We all have, Krishna consciousness is like very vast, very broad and covers everything, naturally. My area of, we could say, specialization is in the context of, we could say, society. I'm presently taking some, doing some research in terms of sociology. And I was very, in doing that research, Prabhupada in one conversation makes a very simple but very strong point. Somehow some discussion was there on sociology, and then Prabhupada said, sociology, yes. Chatur Varnyamaya Srisam Guna. That is sociology. Krishna has given the perfect formula, the perfect system. So the point I want to make actually, which many of us, although we are practicing in Krishna consciousness for many years, some of us for many decades, we are still learning different dimensions, so to speak, of dharma. And essentially, why is it important for us as members of this movement to very thoroughly and very deeply understand dharma? Because in present-day modern society, and this has been an ongoing trend, we could say, for the last few centuries. There's a whole development, we won't go into that right now, which has been actually deviating from two aspects of dharma, or the two dimensions, we could say, of what dharma means. And unless we know both of these dimensions very clearly, we will not be so effective in actually presenting what is meant to be the alternative in society. As I mentioned before, Srila Prabhupada, and I'm sure all of those who were attracted, who became devotees in those early years, very much appreciated Srila Prabhupada's straightforward and simple explanation, especially of this concept of dharma, whereby Srila Prabhupada gave the very broad understanding that it doesn't really matter what religion one is practicing, which is very different from what we don't find that kind of expression or explanation in too many other religions. It's like my way or the highway. There's only in Krishna consciousness, in many lectures and purports in the Bhagavatam also, Srila Prabhupada made that point very clear, and it's very important for us to understand how, although one may not promote a particular kind of religion, however, one is duty-bound to promote the principles of religiosity, which is dharma. So dharma, there's a nice expression in Sanskrit that explains what I'm trying to present here. Swadharma. Actually, in the Bhagavatam, this very nice verse, often quoted by Srila Prabhupada also, Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Swartha. What is our real asset? What is our real opulence in this human form of life? That real asset, that real facility is to be able to understand these two principles and levels of dharma. And the first one, Prabhupada defines very simply as spiritual swadharma. And in many ways, our lineage, especially from the time of Lord Chaitanya, has especially focused and centered on our spiritual swadharma. And as we all know, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna Nityadas, that is the basis and the beginning of our spiritual swadharma. At the same time, our acharyas speak about our material swadharma. We simultaneously have material swadharma. And there's been less of a focus for different reasons, and as a result, less of an understanding of how important that dimension of material swadharma is. And it's very interesting how in different places there is reference to our Shruti section of the Vedas and our Smriti section of the Vedas, explaining how actually both of these need to be understood properly, and both of these need to be, we could say, incorporated. And we have this very famous verse, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Virimbina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayava Kalpati. That means we need to take all of these in consideration. In one interesting purport, there are so many interesting purports of Srila Prabhupada, there's an example given that a real Brahmana is someone who has the vision, having two eyes, has on one side the vision always of Shruti, and on the other side of Smriti. And Prabhupada actually explains that one cannot have one without the other. They are both essential, in as much as all of us who are sitting here, within this body is the spirit soul. But that spirit soul is sitting in this machine, body machine. We are every single moment of the day confronted with these two realities, isn't it, of matter and spirit. And therefore, material swadharma has to do with, practically speaking, as important science, because it is a science, in as much as we speak about the science of devotional service, and the complete science of devotional service, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. There is also a complete science of relating to the level of material swadharma. And it's also very, in as much as bhakti is very profound, very deep, unlimited actually, because it has to do with Krishna, who is unlimited, ever expanding. And that's what makes Krishna consciousness so attractive. There's no end to it. There's no end to how much we can understand and realize about Krishna consciousness. There's no end in how much we can serve Krishna and how much we can serve Krishna's devotees. That's very attractive, isn't it? So the material swadharma is something that even within our ISKCON society, although Prabhupada spoke about it, I would say has yet to really manifest. And in many, many ways, this conference tomorrow is wanting to highlight this particular, various aspects of this material swadharma. Because we are here in this material world, we must learn to, we must learn how to exist in this material world in the best possible way, although we know that there's really no way to actually be happy because it's dukkhalayam ashasvatam. At the same time, when one is in knowledge of both the spiritual swadharma and material swadharma, just like we have descriptions when Lord Ramachandra or such Vaishnava kings, rulers in previous ages were governing, then everything was actually very wonderful in society, although we are still in this material world. because the citizens who were guided by such qualified leaders were simultaneously living an ideal spiritual life and also an ideal material life. So there is such a thing as an ideal material life. There is such a thing as, if we read the 7th canto, and very important especially for householders to read the 7th canto, especially the last 5 chapters. I probably spoke about this last time when I came. But chapter 11 to 15 are most important for devotees, especially householders. But it speaks about, because it is Narada Muni's essay, or dissertation, we could say, on the topic of Varnashrama. And Srila Prabhupada, we all know, spoke quite extensively on this topic, because Varnashrama actually has to do with our material swadharma. And we cannot artificially just, in the name of transcendence, neglect it or reject it, you see. Problems in society today are due to these two things: a complete misunderstanding and, in many cases, rejection of dharma, of spiritual swadharma. Atheism is on the increase. People are less religious in so many ways, etc. So the spiritual swadharma is neglected, and there's a complete misunderstanding also of material swadharma. Small example, economics. What is wonderful in our Vedic culture, as again, so wonderfully presented to us by Srila Prabhupada, is the whole idea of simplicity. Simple living, high thinking, right? When we read the Bhagavatam, when we read the Bhagavad Gita, those simple formulas, those simple concepts and principles are there. And our success as devotees actually is to extract and to assimilate these formulas. And of course our real success is to apply, isn't it? Anyone who comes in contact with Krishna consciousness, there's so much of knowledge, isn't it? I mean, Vedic knowledge is vast, and it's vast on the spiritual level as well as on the material level. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about both jnanam and vijnanam, isn't it? In the Bhagavatam also, that very nice verse, Jai Sri Radha Madan Mohan ki Jai, Sri Prabhupada ki Jai, Sri Gauranitai ki Jai. Evam prasanamanaso bhagavat bhakti yogata bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Whole Vedic culture is to lead people at least to the mode of goodness. The whole Varnashram system actually is to lead people to the mode of goodness. Because from the mode of goodness, as we know, one can rise above. One can nicely, properly execute devotional service. And by the execution of devotional service, one can become realized. Tattva vijnanam. This vijnanam actually comes from Krishna when we properly apply the process of devotional service. So this material swadharma is an area that Prabhupada spoke about and expected and wanted that our society, Krishna conscious society, be able to practically demonstrate this dimension of dharma. And the beginning and foundation of this dimension of dharma, again, has to do with tomorrow's conference on cows. any society or any culture which leaves aside, neglects in any way, what to speak of abusing and exploiting, etc., will very quickly become destroyed. And therefore, it is the duty and responsibility of every single member of ISKCON society, therefore, to not only understand the very, very high, very esoteric dimensions given to us by Lord Chaitanya, given to us by the Goswamis of Vrindavan, because we can just get lost in that, which is not to minimize its importance, but at the same time, because we have a responsibility, one of the foremost objectives and purposes of the Sankirtan movement is to bring in as many people as possible, isn't it? Prabhupada actually, when he came to the West, and I'm sure you've heard this in some of his either conversations or lectures, mentioning that in the beginning we were trying to pick up Brahmanas, trying to make people into Brahmanas, because our movement is primarily a movement of Brahmanas, to give a head to society, to give direction, to give knowledge. But at some point, after some time, Srila Prabhupada explained that actually Lord Chaitanya's movement is not only to pick up Brahmanas, it's to pick up everybody, you see. And it's to give everyone an opportunity, regardless of one's material position, to take to the process of spiritual life, of Krishna consciousness. And then, of course, even before coming before coming to the West, Srila Prabhupada had all of this planned out. I mean, he spoke in this very still yet to be understood or even yet to be known. And I often ask the question, and I will also this evening, how many here have heard about a writing by Srila Prabhupada, up to this day never published? And you can raise your hand if you've heard about it, called Gita Nagari. Quite a few. How many have read Gita Nagari? Okay, less. Majority, yeah. So majority is still not really. In that essay of Gita Nagari, Srila Prabhupada presents actually the essence and speaks quite in detail about both of these aspects or dimensions of dharma. And of course he continued to do that when he came to the West. And that's why in the last couple of years especially, more extensively he elaborated on this whole concept of varnashrama dharma. So, in other words, as devotees, and I'll just keep a few minutes for some possible questions that might be there, because I believe 8:45 is the time we have to finish here. Srila Prabhupada very clearly wanted that we keep these two dimensions in mind, and that we become ideal as individuals and as a society to practically demonstrate. We have such a wonderful philosophy, highest philosophy. What is not always so easy to do is put that into practice. Just like we all know, we're not this body, but how much do we actually realize that we're not this body? It's one thing to know something, it's another to have a real deep realization. So in the same way, Srila Prabhupada gave standing orders which today are still standing, which have not really been taken up in the context of varnashrama dharma, and the world actually is in dire need of both of these dimensions. So therefore, all of us have a tremendous responsibility, and we owe so much, of course, to Srila Prabhupada for having done what he has done. Again, this morning with Balabhadra Prabhu, we were mentioning how majority of Prabhupada disciples are just, some have already entered the age range that Prabhupada, when he came to America, and we're thinking up of like winding up. Prabhupada was beginning where we're thinking of winding up. So what Srila Prabhupada has done is in many ways actually miraculous, and therefore we are eternally indebted, whether we are direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada or grand disciples, whatever. We all have that indebtedness to him, and we will be able to please Srila Prabhupada. That is, I'll just finish on this point. The success of a disciple is to really understand both the mentality, the mood, and the instructions of the spiritual master. Because by doing so, one will act on those instructions, one will therefore please the spiritual master, and ultimately please Krishna, isn't it? Samsiddhi haritoshanam, that is the perfection of life, that by our activities we can come to serve and to please the Supreme Lord, and that begins by serving and pleasing the Lord's, those who are dear to the Lord. And in that context, cows are very dear to the Lord, and we are missing out on this dimension in many ways, and therefore to highlight and to look at different aspects of this whole dimension, we are having this conference tomorrow. So I am very thankful to the devotees here, and very thankful to Vaisheshika Prabhu for being a very ideal devotee and doing such wonderful preaching here and in so many places all over the world by having seminars, etc. like that. So I'd like to end here and take any comments or questions for the few minutes that we have. Hare Krishna, I didn't see you till now. Vrindranath Prabhu. Mike.
Yeah, I just want, what would be some, few or even one practical point we could do in our society to develop Varnashrama? We know we should do it and everything, but what are some practical things we could actually do to really get it going?
Okay. First one is to read those 5 chapters I mentioned in the Bhagavatam and to discuss them and try to understand, because a lot of very practical instructions are given. There needs to be more, I would say, Brahminical activities in that direction, because ultimately the Brahmanas are meant to instruct and give directions, have seminars, etc. like that. That is lacking. Prabhupada actually gave us a simple formula, how to train. The secret in this actually is training and education, like in so many things, even in the material world. So training and education, Prabhupada gave us the ideal formula for that in terms of establishing Varnashram colleges. That was the primary purpose, to introduce our devotees and ultimately people in general to these basic concepts. See, we're talking about concepts in as much as in the spiritual dimension of dharma that we spoke about briefly. There are so many concepts, like rasa. It's a very deep subject matter. Relationship, concepts, sambandha, abhideya, prayojana. These are all concepts. So in a similar way, there are concepts, there are principles that on the material level, in terms of how we should conduct our lives. I mean, the samskaras are connected with that also. That's very important. I mean, beginning with the Garbhadhana samskara. And there is a need for those who are Brahmanically inclined, and we are lacking in that respect, I would say, unfortunately, because a Brahmana is meant to be especially focused on teaching and meant to show or demonstrate by example. Tomorrow during the conference, we'll definitely be touching on other specific aspects, especially in connection with Mother Cow, because that's something that can bring it home a little bit, make it more clear. One very important point is that why in the Vedic culture are cows given so much of importance? And of course there are many reasons. One of the simple reasons that we can easily understand is that I was mentioning a little earlier, the whole idea of the Vedic culture is how to bring people to the mode of goodness. Cows are already in the mode of goodness. If we just associate with cows, it'll rub off on us. You know, if we engage in serving Mother Cow, Mother Surabhi, then we will. That's why cows are so central in the Vedic culture, because there is everyone is in different ways serving Mother Cow, and that is, of course, has become very major challenge, because majority of people, more and more people are living in cities where it's more difficult to, and practically impossible. But there are different ways to actually connect in that way also. There are many other ways. I'm just touching on a few points here. Any other? Yes, Balabhadra Prabhu. Somebody can bring the mic quickly. Here it is, coming. There.
I may have asked you this question before.
Yes.
If so, don't answer it. And
Okay.
we'll see if the assembled devotees can come up with the answer.
Okay.
So, what are the different types of hay?
Now this is a down-to-earth question. That only a former minister of, cow and agriculture can ask. What are the two types of hay?
No, there's more than two. What are the different types of hay?
Oh, the different types of hay.
Ah.
Okay.
That's one type.
That's the highest type.
No, it's not. What's another type? This is a trick question, but it has a reason.
Be careful with Balabhadra Prabhu. He's full of tricky questions, but it's good, yeah. And I don't know the answer, so yeah.
No other types of hay?
Tell us.
Rod hay is the best type of hay.
Ah.
But there's some more leading up to
Hey!
Hey, Krishna Karna Sindhu, Dinabandhu Jagat Pate is one. Then there's Krishna.
Hey!
Any others? Any others?
Hey, that's wonderful.
Hey, Govinda. Hey, Gopal. So this just goes to show that cow protection and Brahminical culture can never be separated.
Haribol.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful.
The
Thank
other-
you.
The other point I would just like to mention briefly, and Prabhupada is giving in a purport in Srimad Bhagavatam 8 24:5. Please read this when you go home. Prabhupada says that without cow protection, Brahminical culture cannot be maintained. And without Brahminical culture, the aim of life cannot be fulfilled. But please read this when you go home tonight.
And tell it to your friends. Share it, pass it on, yeah. So thank you all very much. I believe we need to close now. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Premanande.
His Holiness Bhakti Raghava Maharaj ki. So thank you everyone for joining tonight to two wonderful lectures from Bhakti Charu Maharaj and Bhakti Raghava Maharaj. And just to let you know that tomorrow all the guests who are visiting, like you can see all many Prabhupada disciples here. The Cow Culture Conference, which is held in the ICC, India Community Center in Milpitas. Those who have not registered, you can try to see cowculture.org and try to come in. If not, tomorrow also we'll have our temple program, regular program, 3 p.m. It will go onwards, so simultaneously. And also we'll have serving the prasadam. I don't know where they are setting off. Outside? Yes, so we'll be serving the prasadam outside, and we need few volunteers, those who'd like to join in cleaning the hall as well as cleaning the kitchen area. That would be great. Okay, with this we'd like to conclude the program tonight, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much.